Hello, everyone. There is a quiet strength in a calm woman that moves like the steady river. It does not rush. It does not demand. It carries the world with a grace that many cannot name, but all can feel. When a calm woman enters a room, there is no thunder in her voice, no storm in her eyes, yet everyone knows that something powerful has arrived. That is the power of inner peace. That is the shield no sword can break. A calm woman is not untouched by trials. She has known heartbreak. She has stood in the middle of loss. She has tasted disappointment. Yet she has learned not to let those moments chain her spirit. She has found a song inside her chest that the world cannot silence. While others fight to prove their worth, she has nothing to prove. She already knows who she is. She already knows her value. Her calm is not weakness. Her calm is mastery. Calmness is not weakness, it is the highest form of strength. This truth has been misunderstood for centuries because the world often celebrates the loud, the forceful, and the aggressive. But if you look closely, you will see that true strength has never been about noise or force. It has always been about control, about knowing when to act and when to wait, about understanding that power without restraint can destroy more than it creates. The calm woman knows this well. She does not need to raise her voice to prove her authority. She does not need to fight every battle to prove she can win. She holds her ground with quiet certainty, and that is what makes her unshakable. When life sends waves of trials and disappointments, the calm woman does not let herself be thrown into panic. She may bend with the wind, but she does not break. She has learned that calmness is not the absence of difficulty, but the decision to face difficulty with clarity and grace. Anyone can be strong when things are easy. Anyone can smile when the world is gentle. But to remain calm when everything shakes, to breathe steady when chaos presses hard, that is where true strength is revealed. It is not the shallow strength of the fist, but the deep strength of the spirit. People often mistake loudness for power, but loudness can be a mask for fear. Anger can be a disguise for insecurity. The woman who is calm does not need masks, for she is not running from herself. She has looked within and made peace with her scars. She has embraced her imperfections and chosen to keep walking with dignity. That is why she does not waste her energy on proving. She saves her strength for building. She saves her voice for truth. She saves her spirit for love. Calmness takes discipline. It requires mastery over the impulses that push so many into regret. It takes courage to pause when provoked, to listen instead of reacting, to choose grace when anger would feel easier. Yet it is in these small choices that a calm woman shows her might. She teaches the world that restraint is not weakness, but wisdom. That patience is not passivity, but power. She reminds us that storms destroy themselves when they cannot disturb the one standing firm. The strength of her calm is seen in how she carries others too. She becomes a safe place for those who are weary. Her presence itself is a comfort because it radiates steadiness. People lean on her not because she speaks the loudest, but because she listens the deepest. Her calm spirit has a way of softening even the hardest hearts. She knows that kindness spoken from peace reaches farther than anger spoken from pride. And that is a strength that outlasts every shout. Think of history of communities, of families. The ones who held them together were not always the boldest or the most aggressive. They were often the ones who kept calm in the storm, who carried peace when everyone else panicked, who turned conflict into healing and bitterness into understanding. The calm woman embodies that same timeless strength. She chooses to carry her peace not only for herself, but for all who walk beside her. The strength of calmness also gives her vision. When noise fills the air, most people cannot think clearly. They rush, they stumble, they regret. But her calm clears the fog. She sees what others miss because she does not let panic blur her sight. She waits until the right moment to move, and when she moves, it is with certainty. That is why her steps are sure and her choices last. In a world that glorifies noise, a calm woman is often underestimated, but she is never defeated. Her shield of peace protects her from the wounds of envy, anger, and chaos. She is not fragile, she is fortified. She is not silent because she is small, she is silent because her spirit is vast. Calmness is her crown, and she wears it with a strength that cannot be stolen. That is why calmness is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. A calm woman carries peace as her shield against chaos. She does not live in a world free of storms, but she walks with a protection that no turmoil can strip away. Her peace is not something given to her by chance or by comfort. It is something she has earned through her struggles, through her nights of silence, through her moments of standing strong when everything inside her wanted to fall apart. That peace is the armor she wears, not made of steel or iron, but of wisdom, patience, and trust in herself. Life throws its trials at every soul. There are moments when people are misunderstood, moments when dreams fall short, moments when betrayal cuts deep. Many react with rage, with bitterness, with despair. But the calm woman does not hand her heart over to the storm. She keeps her peace close like a sacred shield. She knows that chaos wants to steal her focus, but she will not give it permission. She understands that losing peace is more costly than losing a battle, because when peace is gone, everything else crumbles. Her shield of peace is not about hiding or avoiding conflict. It is about meeting conflict without letting it own her. She may face harsh words, yet she refuses to let them poison her spirit. She may encounter unfairness, yet she refuses to allow bitterness to grow in her soul. She knows that chaos only has power if she invites it in. So she holds her shield steady, letting peace protect her from the arrows of anger, envy, and hatred. This is not weakness. It is mastery. It is the ability to walk through fire and not become fire. People often wonder how she does it. How can she smile when so much is against her? How can she move with such grace when the ground beneath her shakes? The answer is that her shield is not something she carries in her hands. It lives in her heart. Her peace is built from faith in herself, from lessons she has learned through pain, from the courage to release what she cannot control. Because she does not try to control every storm, she saves her strength to control herself. That is her secret, and that is her shield. There are times when the world will push her, provoke her, try to strip her calm away. It will test her patience and tempt her to answer chaos with chaos. But she knows that if she lowers her shield, she is no longer protected. So she breathes, she steadies herself, and she holds her ground. Her peace is not silence in the face of injustice, it is clarity in the midst of confusion. It allows her to act with intention rather than reaction, to choose her response instead of being dragged by emotion. That shield makes her powerful in a way that anger never could. A calm woman with peace as her shield changes the atmosphere around her. She becomes a light in places of darkness, a safe space in moments of fear, a steady hand when others tremble. People gather near her because they feel safer in her presence. She does not need to command attention. Her peace draws it naturally. Her calm energy spreads like a quiet flame, warming the hearts of those who are cold with worry. And though she carries her shield for herself, it becomes a covering for others too. The beauty of her shield is that it is unbreakable by external force. No insult, no rejection, no storm can shatter it because it is built on the foundation of her own soul. She is the one who decides whether to guard it or let it fall, and she chooses to guard it fiercely. She knows her peace is her power. She knows her shield is her survival. She knows that as long as she carries it, No chaos can defeat her spirit, and so a calm woman carries peace as her shield against chaos, and with it, she proves that the greatest victories are not won through noise or force, but through the quiet strength of an unshaken soul. Inner peace is power that cannot be stolen or shaken. The calm woman understands this truth deep in her soul. She has lived through the kind of storms that strip people of their confidence, through the kind of pain that bends others into bitterness, yet she has chosen not to let those moments define her. Instead, she has built within herself a place that no hand can touch, no insult can damage, and no storm can destroy. That place is her inner peace, and it is her greatest source of strength. There are many forms of power in this world. Some try to hold power through wealth, others through influence, others through fear. But those forms of power can be taken away in an instant. Fortune changes, positions shift, fear eventually loses its hold. The power of inner peace, however, is untouchable. It is not built on anything outside of the self. It is not dependent on approval, applause, or recognition. It is not something that can be handed over by another person. It is born within, and because it is within, no one can take it away. The calm woman carries herself with this unshakable power. She does not need to prove herself by competing with others. She does not need to chase validation or scramble for control. Her peace gives her a confidence that radiates quietly, but undeniably. It tells the world that she knows who she is, and she will not be moved by every opinion, by every judgment, by every shifting shadow of doubt. Her power is not loud, but it is lasting. It does not roar, but it remains when the noise fades. Many mistake inner peace for passivity, but the calm woman knows better. She knows that peace is not the absence of conflict, it is the mastery of self within conflict. It is choosing clarity over confusion, choosing patience over panic, choosing grace over anger. When others crumble under pressure, she stands steady. When others are consumed by fear, she breathes deep and holds her ground. This is not because life is easier for her. It is because she has decided that nothing outside of her deserves the right to rule her spirit. That decision is what makes her untouchable. Inner peace also gives her vision. Where others see only obstacles, she sees opportunities. Where others see chaos, she sees lessons. She does not allow her mind to be clouded by worry, so she can think with clarity and act with intention. That is why she is trusted, why others seek her counsel, why her presence is felt even when she says little. Her peace is not only for herself, it becomes a guide for others too. It shows them that there is another way to live, a stronger way to move, a freer way to exist. This kind of power is not inherited, it is earned. It comes from surviving heartbreak without letting it harden her. It comes from walking through disappointment without letting it rob her of hope. It comes from meeting betrayal and choosing forgiveness, not because the other deserved it, but because she deserved to be free. Every scar has taught her something. Every wound has made her wiser. And from all of it, she has built a reservoir of peace that flows within her and sustains her when the world tries to drain her spirit. Her inner peace does not mean she does not feel pain. It does not mean she is untouched by sorrow. It means she has learned how to carry it without letting it break her. She has learned how to bend without falling, how to hurt without losing her softness, how to endure without losing her faith. That balance is her strength, and it is the reason why her power cannot be stolen. So when the storms come, as they always do, she does not fear. She knows storms can shake the earth, but they cannot shake her spirit. She knows life can take much, but it cannot take the peace she has built within. That is why her power is rare, why it is precious, why it lasts. Inner peace is power that cannot be stolen or shaken, and the calm woman wears it like her crown. Silence and patience are not surrender, they are wisdom in motion. The calm woman knows this truth in every step she takes and in every word she chooses not to speak. To the world that moves too fast, silence often looks like weakness. To the world that demands immediate reaction, patience often feels like defeat. But in reality, silence and patience are powerful tools, sharpened not by inaction but by understanding. The calm woman uses them not to avoid the weight of life, but to carry it with grace and to face it with strength. She knows there is wisdom in holding her tongue when anger tempts her to lash out. She knows there is wisdom in waiting when life pushes her to rush blindly forward. Silence is not the absence of voice, it is the presence of control. Patience is not a lack of courage, it is the presence of faith. Together they become her strength, her quiet defense against a world that is always in a hurry to win, to argue, to prove. When people speak out of anger, they often regret what follows. When they rush into action without thought, they often stumble into mistakes. But the calm woman avoids such traps. She understands that silence gives her time to listen, and in listening, she gains clarity. She understands that patience allows her to see what is hidden in the moment, to recognize the truth beneath the surface, to wait for the right opportunity instead of wasting energy on what will not last. This is not surrender. This is wisdom in motion. Her silence is not empty. It carries weight. When she chooses not to speak, it is not because she cannot. It is because she has chosen to protect her peace. Her silence shields her from battles unworthy of her energy. It saves her strength for the moments that truly matter. And when she does speak, her words are sharper, truer, more impactful, because they come from reflection, not from reaction. That is why people listen when she speaks. That is why her voice matters even in its softness. Her patience, too, is misunderstood. People often believe that if you are not moving quickly, you are falling behind. But the calm woman knows that patience is not standing still. It is moving at the pace of wisdom. It is trusting that what is meant for her will not pass her by. It is knowing that rushing can bring ruin, while waiting with faith can bring fulfillment. Her patience does not mean she does nothing. It means she acts when the time is right, and because of that, her actions are strong and steady. Silence and patience allow her to withstand storms without being swept away. They allow her to rise above insults without staining her spirit. They allow her to build her life with intention rather than desperation. And in all of this, she shows a strength that loud voices and restless hearts cannot imitate. She shows that true wisdom does not need to scream. It does not need to hurry. It simply endures, and in enduring, it prevails. Through her silence, she teaches others that not every fight is worth fighting. Through her patience, she teaches that not every desire needs to be chased. She becomes an example of how strength is not always about action, but sometimes about restraint. Her life reminds us that the one who can master their emotions, their impulses, their timing, is stronger than the one who can conquer the world, but not themselves. The calm woman's silence and patience are living proof that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it simply refuses to be disturbed. And in that refusal lies her freedom. She is not owned by anger, not controlled by pressure, not enslaved by hurry. She belongs to herself, and that is the truest form of strength. Silence and patience are not surrender. They are wisdom in motion, and in them the calm woman finds her shield. Serenity allows her to rise above conflict without losing herself. The calm woman knows that the world is filled with noise, with voices that demand to be heard, with arguments that tempt the spirit into battles that do not serve the soul. But she has chosen another path. She has chosen serenity. And with it, she finds the strength to stand tall when conflict surrounds her. She does not need to sink into the bitterness of others to prove her worth. She does not need to match anger with anger to show that she is strong. Her serenity is her proof, her evidence that true power is not found in shouting, but in the ability to remain unshaken. Conflict comes in many forms. It can come from family, from work, from friends, or from strangers who carry their own wounds. It can arrive through words that cut, through actions that betray, through situations that seem unfair. Most people let conflict consume them, stripping them of peace and clarity. But the calm woman has learned that when she lets conflict rule her, she loses herself. So she rises above it, not because she is blind to injustice, but because she values her spirit too deeply to let it be broken by it. Her serenity is not denial. She does not pretend that conflict is not real. She sees it, she feels it, she acknowledges its weight. But she does not allow it to dictate her path. She knows that reacting with anger only feeds the fire, that meeting hostility with hostility only deepens the wound. Her serenity is the choice to respond with understanding instead of rage, with clarity instead of confusion. And that choice gives her strength that conflict cannot touch. When others are pulled into arguments, she listens. When others rush to defend themselves, she breathes. She does not rush to prove her innocence or her superiority because she knows her value does not depend on anyone's opinion. She knows her dignity is not built on winning an argument. Her serenity protects her from wasting her energy on battles that do not deserve her presence. And because she refuses to lose herself in conflict, she keeps her spirit intact. This serenity allows her to create space where healing can happen. In her calm presence, anger loses its fuel. In her patient response, tension begins to fade. People may not understand how she does it, but they feel the effect of her spirit. She becomes a bridge where others see only walls. She becomes a light where others are trapped in shadows. She is not untouched by conflict, but she transforms it by refusing to let it claim her peace. The calm woman's serenity is not a gift that came easily. It has been forged through experiences that tested her. It was built through moments where she wanted to fight back, but chose instead to rise. It was shaped in times when her silence was mistaken for weakness, but later revealed itself as wisdom. Through these lessons, she learned that serenity is not given, it is cultivated. And because she cultivated it, it now protects her as a shield. Conflict may continue to swirl around her, but she does not bow to it. She chooses her battles with care. She understands that her time, her energy, her soul are too precious to waste on proving herself to those who do not wish to understand. She walks forward with grace, letting serenity be her strength, letting peace be her armor. And in doing so, she shows the world that rising above does not mean ignoring conflict. It means mastering yourself in the midst of it. Serenity allows her to rise above conflict without losing herself. And in that choice, she keeps her crown untarnished. True calm is born from trials, pain, and the choice to heal. A calm woman is not calm because life has been gentle with her. She is calm because she has walked through storms that threatened to break her, and she chose not to let them. Her serenity is not the product of an easy path. It is the fruit of struggle, of wounds that once bled deeply, of nights when her soul ached in silence. What makes her calmness powerful is that it has been tested, it has been tried, and it has survived. There was a time when her voice trembled with fear, when her heart was heavy with sorrow, when her spirit was tempted to give in to bitterness. She has known heartbreak that could have hardened her. She has known betrayal that could have made her cynical. She has known loss that could have taken away her hope. Yet she chose something different. She chose to heal instead of hate. She chose to grow instead of collapse. She chose to turn her pain into wisdom and her trials into strength. That is why her calm cannot be shaken, because it has roots deep in her lived experience. The calm woman understands that pain is a teacher, even though its lessons are harsh. It teaches resilience. It teaches patience. It teaches the importance of letting go of what cannot be changed. Trials are the fires that refined her. She did not walk away untouched, but she walked away transformed. Her scars do not weaken her. They remind her of her survival. Her tears do not shame her. They remind her that she felt deeply and still rose again. Out of those trials came a calm that was not naive but seasoned, not fragile but strong. True calm is never about pretending nothing happened. It is about facing what happened and choosing not to let it destroy the soul. The calm woman carries her past, but she does not live in it. She remembers the pain, but she does not let it write her story. She acknowledges the trials, but she does not let them define her. Instead, she allows them to shape her into someone wiser, softer, and stronger. That is the beauty of her calm. It is not born of ignorance, but of deep awareness. Healing was never easy for her. It took courage to forgive when her heart wanted revenge. It took strength to smile when sorrow weighed heavily on her. It took patience to rebuild when everything inside her wanted to give up. But through that process, she found a calmness that now shields her from the chaos of the world. She knows she cannot control what life brings, but she can control how she responds. And that knowledge has given her freedom that cannot be taken away. The calm woman has learned that wounds can either make a person bitter or better, and she has chosen the better path. She does not deny her pain, but she refuses to become it. She does not erase her past, but she refuses to be imprisoned by it. Her calmness carries both her history and her healing, and together they make her strong enough to face whatever comes next. People may look at her serenity and think it came easily, but if they could see the battles she has fought within, they would understand it is the result of victory after victory. This is why her calm is unshakable. It was not borrowed, it was not given, it was built. Every challenge she endured became a brick. Every heartbreak she survived became a stone. Every choice to heal instead of hate became the mortar that held it all together. Her calmness is a fortress, and she stands within it, safe not because the world is kind, but because she has chosen to be kind to herself. True calm is born from trials, pain, and the choice to heal, and that is why it shines so powerfully through the calm woman's life. The calm woman proves that strength wrapped in grace lasts the longest. In a world where so many believe strength must roar, she shows that it can whisper and still be heard. She is not strong because she demands attention, but because she holds her dignity in silence. She does not need to crush others to prove her power. Her strength is quiet, steady, and enduring. It does not fade when the applause ends, nor does it weaken when the world grows weary. Her grace keeps it alive, and that is why it lasts. There are many forms of strength that rise quickly but vanish just as fast. Anger may make a person appear strong, but it burns out. Force may win in the moment, but it often leaves destruction behind. Pride may seem powerful, but it crumbles when challenged. The calm woman's strength is different. It is built on patience, kindness, forgiveness, and wisdom. It does not fade with time because it is not built on show. It is built on truth. That is why it endures through every season of life. Her grace does not mean she is untouched by pain. She feels sorrow, she feels injustice, she feels the weight of struggle. But she carries it without letting it harden her spirit. She answers cruelty with composure. She meets betrayal without letting it destroy her tenderness. She faces conflict without letting it steal her dignity. Her strength is not about avoiding pain. It is about refusing to let pain take away her humanity. That grace is what makes her strong in a way that time cannot erase. The calm woman also knows that strength without grace can become a burden. Harshness may intimidate, but it does not inspire. Aggression may dominate, but it does not heal. True strength uplifts, and hers does exactly that. She brings peace to troubled hearts. She brings clarity where there is confusion. She brings hope where there is despair. She is strong not only for herself, but for others too, because her grace gives her strength a beauty that people can lean on. This kind of strength takes discipline. It is not easy to stay graceful when the world tests her, when insults are thrown, when anger is pushed upon her. But she chooses again and again to hold her ground with calmness. She chooses to breathe instead of break, to forgive instead of hate, to rise instead of sink. These choices shape her strength, polish it, and protect it. And because she chooses them with consistency, her strength outlasts the temporary power of rage or pride. Her strength wrapped in grace is also a legacy. It touches those who walk beside her, teaching them that strength does not have to destroy, it can also heal. Her children, her friends, her community, all are impacted by the calm way she moves through life. They see that she does not fight every battle, but the ones she does fight are with dignity. They see that she does not lose herself in chaos, but instead becomes an anchor when others drift. And they learn from her that the strongest person in the room is often the one who does not need to prove it. This strength lasts because it is rooted in values deeper than circumstance. The calm woman is not strong because life has always been fair to her. She is strong because she has chosen to walk in grace despite life's unfairness. She does not depend on the approval of others, nor on fleeting victories. Her strength flows from her character, and character is something time cannot erase. That is why, when the years pass, her calm presence still holds power. That is why, when storms rage, people still find safety in her. Strength wrapped in grace lasts the longest, and the calm woman is living proof of it. So in the end, the strength of a calm woman is not hidden in noise or in force, but in her quiet endurance, in her steady spirit, in the way she carries peace like a crown and a shield. She reminds us that calmness is not weakness, it is wisdom. She proves that serenity is not surrender, it is mastery. She shows us that strength clothed in grace can outlast storms, heal wounds, and inspire generations. If you walk away with one truth, let it be this: peace within yourself is the greatest power you will ever hold. Guard it, live it, let it guide you, and you too will rise unshaken no matter what the world places before you. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening. Good evening, everyone, my dear brothers and sisters. Let me tell you something the world won't always whisper in your ear. You are here on purpose. You are stitched together with light, carved out of hope and wrapped in the unshakable truth that you are enough. Now, I know the world has a habit of making folks feel small. It'll tell you to shrink, to sit down, to keep quiet. It'll have you doubting your own shine, questioning your own worth. But let me remind you of something. The sun does not apologize for rising, and neither should you. You were made with intention. You were crafted with a divine hand that does not make mistakes. Your voice, your story, your heart, they are your own, and no one can carry them the way you do. My dear hearts, let me tell you something right now, something you must never forget. There has never been and will never be another you. You are a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, A design so intricate, so deliberate, that even time itself will not see your like again. You walk this earth with a light that only you carry, a voice that only you can speak, a spirit that only you can bring. Now I know the world has its way of making folks doubt their own shine. It tells you to be this way, to look like that, to walk like them, talk like them, think like them. It will try to mold you into something smaller, something safer, something easier to understand. But let me remind you, sugar, you were never meant to be ordinary. You were never meant to be a shadow of someone else. You were stitched together with purpose, and the very breath in your lungs is proof that you belong just as you are. Think of the stars. No two burn exactly the same, yet each one lights up the night in its own way. Think of the trees, some tall and mighty, some small and bending, but each one reaching for the sky in its own time. Think of the waves, never still, never silent, always moving, always changing, yet the ocean never questions its worth. So why should you? You see, your voice is a song only you can sing. It don't have to be loud, it don't have to be like anybody else's, but it is yours, and that makes it enough. Maybe your voice is gentle like a lullaby, comforting those who need to be held. Maybe it is bold like thunder, shaking the ground beneath the feet of fear. Maybe it is steady like a drumbeat, keeping time for those who have lost their way. However you speak, however you move through this world, you bring something no one else can. And your spirit, oh, what a mighty thing it is. It carries the laughter of your ancestors, the dreams of your childhood, the hope of all the days ahead. It is not weak even when you feel tired. It is not broken even when life tries to bend you. It is fire, it is wind, it is water, it is earth. It is every force that cannot be stopped. And just like the river knows how to find the sea, your spirit knows the way forward. Trust it. Some will try to tell you that you must earn your worth, that you must prove yourself, that you must change yourself to be loved. But that is a lie. You were worthy the day you were born. You were loved before you even knew what love was. You were enough before the world ever tried to tell you otherwise. And when you doubt it, because, oh, there will be days when you do, remember this, no one else walks with your steps, no one else dreams with your heart, no one else shines with your light. The world is not complete without you. So stand tall, walk proud, and let the world see the masterpiece that you are. My dear hearts, let me tell you something that too many folks forget. Struggle does not make you less. It does not weaken you, does not break you, does not take away from who you are. No struggle is a sculptor, and every trial, every tear, every moment of doubt is carving you into something stronger, something wiser, something more radiant than you ever knew you could be. Now, I know when trouble comes knocking, it don't feel like a gift. It don't feel like something shaping you for the better. It feels heavy, feels unfair, feels like the world is pressing down with all its weight, trying to squeeze the light right out of you. But listen to me. Pressure does not destroy a diamond, it reveals its shine. Fire does not ruin gold, it purifies it. And my dear, the struggles you have faced are not proof of your weakness, they are proof of your strength. I see you. I see the weight you've carried, the battles you've fought that nobody else knows about. I see the nights you lay awake, wondering if you'll ever feel whole again. I see the days you've had to smile when your heart was aching. I see the moments when giving up felt easier than holding on. But here you are, still standing, still breathing, still trying. That is power. That is resilience. That is the unshakable truth that no matter what life has thrown your way, you are still here and you are still rising. Let me remind you, broken does not mean finished. Wounded does not mean worthless. A tree that has been bent by the wind still stands. A river that has been blocked still finds another path. And you, my dear, are no different. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not the scars life has left on you. You are so much more than that. You see, struggle is a teacher. It whispers lessons in the moments when we feel lost. It carves wisdom into the deepest parts of us. It teaches us patience because nothing blooms overnight. It teaches us faith because not everything can be seen before it grows. It teaches us courage because walking forward even when we are afraid is the only way to reach the light. And my dear, you have learned, you have grown, you have become someone even more powerful than you were before. Now, I won't lie to you. Life will test you again. There will be more storms, more hills to climb, more nights that feel too long. But hear me when I say this. You have already survived every bad day you thought would break you. You have already walked through fire and come out shining. You have already proven again and again that you are made of something unbreakable. So do not fear the struggle. Do not let it make you feel small. Let it remind you of your strength. Let it shape you not into someone who is afraid, but into someone who knows their own power. Let it be the reason you hold your head higher, not lower. Because every challenge, every tear, every step forward in the face of doubt has only made you more resilient, more wise, more radiant. And when the world tries to tell you that your struggles make you less, you lift your chin, you stand firm, and you let them see the truth. Your struggles have only made you more. My dear hearts, listen close, because this is something the world will not always tell you. Your purpose is louder than doubt. Your dreams are bigger than fear. Your voice matters, and it deserves to be heard. But oh, how this world will try to quiet you. It will tell you to sit down, to hush, to play it safe. It will try to convince you that your words don't carry weight, that your story isn't worth telling, that your light isn't bright enough. But let me tell you something. Those are lies. Lies meant to keep you small, meant to keep you from stepping into the fullness of who you are. You were not made to shrink. You were not made to tiptoe around your own greatness. You were not put here to blend in so well that the world forgets you were ever here. No, my dear, you were sent on purpose with a voice that can move mountains, a spirit that can shake the very air, a light that cannot be dimmed no matter who tries to cast a shadow over it. Now, I know speaking up is not always easy. I know fear has a way of creeping in, whispering in your ear, telling you that maybe it's best to stay quiet, to stay unseen. Fear will make you second-guess yourself, make you wonder if you have anything important to say at all. But hear me when I tell you this. Fear is a liar. It is a thief that will steal your dreams right out of your hands if you let it. But you don't have to let it. You can choose courage instead. And courage doesn't mean you are never afraid. Courage means you speak even with a shaking voice. It means you step forward even when your knees are trembling. It means you rise even when doubt is tugging at your heels. Because the world does not need another silent soul, another dimmed light, another person so afraid of failing that they never even try. The world needs you, your truth, your power, your heart. Your voice has power. It can comfort, it can heal, it can inspire, it can change lives. Maybe your words will remind someone they are not alone. Maybe your truth will set someone else free. Maybe your courage will give another person the strength to stand tall in their own story. You may not see the ripples you create, but believe me, they are there. And let me tell you something else. There will always be people who don't want to hear what you have to say. There will always be those who try to drown you out, those who roll their eyes, those who turn away. But you must remember this, your voice is not for everyone. It is not meant to be swallowed whole by the doubters, the naysayers, the ones who fear the power of truth. Your voice is for those who need it, for those who are waiting to hear what only you can say. So speak, even when they tell you to be quiet. Stand tall, even when they try to push you down. Rise, even when the weight of the world tries to keep you low. Because your voice is a gift, your story is a testament, and your purpose is too mighty to be silenced. And when doubt comes knocking, as it always does, remind yourself of this. You were never meant to be small. You were never meant to be unseen. You were never meant to let fear have the final say. Let me tell you something that the world may not always want you to know. You don't have to fit in to belong. You don't have to twist yourself into shapes that don't feel right just to be accepted. You don't have to follow every rule, every trend, every expectation just to be seen as worthy. No, my dear, your uniqueness is not a flaw. It is your power. It is the very thing that makes you unforgettable. But I know how the world works. It likes to put people in boxes, neat little rows where everybody looks the same, talks the same, thinks the same. It tells you to follow the crowd, to blend in, to not stand out too much. And if you don't fit those boxes, if you dare to walk your own way, the world will make you feel like something is wrong with you. It will try to convince you that different means less, that unique means lonely, that standing apart means standing alone. But hear me when I say this. You were never meant to be a copy of somebody else. You were never meant to dim your light just to match the shadows. You were made to stand in your own truth, to walk your own path, to carry a fire that belongs only to you. Look at the sky. The stars do not ask permission to shine. They do not compare themselves. Do not wonder if they are too bright, too big, too different. They just shine because that is what they were made to do. And my dear, so were you. Think about all the people who have changed the world. Not one of them did it by being like everybody else. They were bold enough to be different, brave enough to stand out, strong enough to walk a road that others were too afraid to take. And you, my dear, carry that same strength inside of you. Now, I won't lie to you. Being different isn't always easy. There will be moments when people don't understand you, when they look at you with questioning eyes, when they whisper behind your back, but let them talk. Let them wonder, let them try to figure you out. Because the ones who truly matter will see you for who you are, and they will love you not in spite of your uniqueness, but because of it. You see, belonging isn't about fitting into places that were never meant for you. Belonging is about finding the people, the spaces, the moments where you can be fully yourself without apology. It is about standing in your truth so strongly that the right people, the ones who truly see you, will have no choice but to find you. And when you do, when you step fully into yourself, you will see that the things that once made you feel out of place are the very things that make you extraordinary. That the parts of you that seem too different, too strange, too wild are the parts that make you unforgettable. That the things the world once made you question are the things that set you free. So don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Don't soften your edges to fit into someone else's mold. Don't trade your magic for the safety of blending in. Stand tall in who you are. Walk proudly in the skin you were given. Be loud, be soft, be wild, be calm. Be whatever it is that makes you feel like home within yourself. And if ever you doubt it, if ever you feel the urge to make yourself smaller just to be accepted, remember this: your uniqueness is not a weakness, it is your superpower. It is the very thing that makes you shine in a world that too often chooses to be dull. My dear hearts, let me remind you of something the world often forgets. Kindness, resilience, and love are not small things. They are not just soft whispers in a loud world. They are forces, mighty and unshakable, shaping everything they touch. In a world that rushes, that shouts, that fights to be heard, these things may seem gentle, but do not mistake gentleness for weakness. There are those who believe that kindness is easy, that it is simply a smile, a word, a passing moment of warmth. But true kindness, the kind that changes lives, the kind that lingers long after you've left the room, takes strength. It takes courage to choose kindness in a world that can be so cruel. It takes patience to offer grace when anger feels easier. It takes power to stay soft when life has tried to harden you. You see, kindness is not just about what you give to others. It is about how you choose to move through this world. It is in the way you lift others when they are low. It is in the way you make space for those who feel unseen. It is in the way you remind someone, even a stranger, that they are not alone. And that, my dear, is no small thing. And resilience. Oh, what a mighty thing that is. Resilience is what keeps you standing when the storms come. It is what helps you rise again after the world has knocked you down. It is what whispers, keep going, when your body is tired, when your heart is weary, when everything inside you says, stop. But resilience is not just about surviving, it is about growing. It is about finding the lesson inside the pain. It is about refusing to be defined by what has happened to you. It is about knowing that every fall, every heartbreak, every loss has not taken from you, but added to you. That every time you thought you would break, you were only being shaped into something stronger, something wiser, something greater than before. And love, oh my dear, love is the greatest power of them all. Not just love for others, but love for yourself. Love that says, I am enough. Love that refuses to settle for less than it deserves. Love that stands firm even when the world tries to shake it. Because love is not just a feeling, it is a choice. A choice to see the good when everything seems dark. A choice to believe in hope when it would be easier to give in to despair. A choice to open your heart even when it has been broken before. A choice to offer love freely, not just to those who make it easy, but to those who need it most. And hear me when I say this, love is not weakness, it is not soft, it is not fragile. Love is the most powerful thing you will ever carry. It can heal wounds, mend spirits, break down walls. It can bring light into the darkest of places. And when the world tells you that being loving, being kind, being resilient is foolish, you stand tall and you tell the world that it is wrong, because the strongest people are not the ones who shout the loudest, who take the most, who walk with clenched fists. The strongest people are the ones who keep their hearts open, who lift others as they rise, who refuse to let the hardness of the world make them hard too. So, my dear, do not ever believe that your kindness is too small, that your resilience is unnoticed, that your love does not matter. These things are the foundation of everything good in this world. They are the reason people keep going. They are the reason lights still shine. And when you wonder if they make a difference, when you question if they are enough, let me tell you this, they are everything. Let me tell you something that too many people forget. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to leave behind what no longer serves you and step into the person you are meant to be. The world may try to keep you in one place, may try to hold you to the person you used to be, may try to remind you of every mistake, every misstep, every moment of doubt. But hear me now, you are not who you were yesterday, and you do not have to be. Growth is not betrayal. It is not disloyalty to the past. It is not forgetting where you came from. Growth is honoring the journey, honoring the lessons, honoring every version of yourself that has carried you to this moment. Growth is looking back with love, but moving forward with purpose. It is knowing that the past shaped you, but it does not define you. And yet, oh, how people will try to keep you the same. They will remind you of who you used to be. They will call you by names you have long outgrown. They will say you've changed, as if it is a sin instead of a miracle. But listen to me. Growth is not something to apologize for. Growth is proof that you are alive, that you are learning, that you are still becoming. Think of a tree. It does not stay a sapling out of guilt. It does not keep its old leaves out of obligation. It reaches higher, it stretches wider, it deepens its roots, and it does not ask permission to do so. And my dear, neither should you. Change is not easy. It will ask you to leave behind comfort. It will ask you to step into the unknown. It will ask you to trust yourself even when the road ahead is unclear. But staying the same, holding yourself back, living a life that does not fit you anymore, oh, that is the real hardship. That is the weight that will crush your spirit. So when the time comes, and it will, when you feel the pull to grow, when you feel the whisper of change calling your name, do not resist it. Do not shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Do not stay small just because the world is afraid of your expansion. Step forward, step boldly, step into the newness of yourself with arms wide open. And yes, there will be fear. There will be moments of doubt. There will be days when you wonder if you are making a mistake. But hear me now. There is no mistake in choosing yourself. There is no failure in following the path that feels right for you. There is only the choice to keep moving, to keep becoming, to keep stepping into the light of who you were always meant to be. And when they ask why you have changed, when they do not understand, when they try to pull you back to the place you have outgrown, stand tall and say, because I am alive, because I am learning, because I am growing. And my dear, that is the most beautiful thing you could ever do. My dear hearts, let me tell you something the world does not say enough. Your dreams are not too big, your hopes are not too wild, and the life you long for is not beyond your reach. The fire inside you, that quiet voice that whispers, there is more for me, is not a mistake. It is not foolishness. It is not something to be ignored. It is your calling, your purpose, your truth trying to rise. But oh, how the world will try to make you doubt it. It will tell you to be practical, to be realistic, to stay inside the lines that have already been drawn. It will tell you that dreaming too big leads to disappointment, that reaching too high will only end in a fall. It will try to convince you that safety is better than possibility, that comfort is worth more than courage. But listen to me now. Do not let the world shrink your dreams. Do not let fear steal them from your hands. Do not let doubt plant roots where faith should grow. Because the life you dream of is not impossible. It is not too far away. It is waiting for you, but you must be bold enough to step toward it. And stepping toward it will not always be easy. It will ask you to take risks. It will ask you to walk roads that others may not understand. It will ask you to keep going when you are tired, to believe when belief feels hard, to rise even when you have fallen. There will be moments when it seems like nothing is happening, when the path ahead is unclear, when you wonder if you are wasting your time. But let me tell you something. Every great thing, every dream that has ever been made real began as something unseen. It began as a hope, a vision, a tiny flicker of faith inside someone who refused to let it go. Think of the tallest trees. They did not rise overnight. They began as small seeds, buried in darkness, unseen, unnoticed, but beneath the soil, they were growing, stretching, breaking through, and in time, when the moment was right, they reached the sky, and my dear, you are no different. Your dream may not be visible yet, but that does not mean it is not growing. Your vision may not be understood by others, but that does not mean it is not real. Keep planting, keep watering, keep believing, because the moment will come when everything you have worked for, everything you have held on to will begin to bloom. And when that moment comes, oh, how the world will wonder. They will look at you and say, how did they do it? How did they make it happen? And you will smile because you will know. You will know that it was not luck, not chance, not magic. It was you, your faith, your persistence, your refusal to give up, even when giving up seemed easier. But hear me now. The world does not just need your dreams to stay inside you. It needs them to come alive. It needs you to create, to build, to rise, to shine. Because your dream is not just for you. It is for the people who will see you and find courage in your journey. It is for the ones who need what only you can offer. It is for the lives you will touch, the hearts you will inspire, the change you will create. So do not let fear win. Do not let doubt take hold. Do not let the voices of the world be louder than the voice inside you, because the life you long for is waiting, the dream you carry is possible, and you, my dear, are more capable than you even know. My dear hearts, if there is one thing I want you to carry with you from this moment, it is this. You are here for a reason. You are not an accident. You are not small. You are not ordinary. You are a force, a light, a story still unfolding, and the world needs every piece of you. Your voice matters. Your dreams matter. Your heart, your kindness, your resilience, they all matter. Do not let fear hold you back. Do not let doubt steal what is meant for you. Do not let the world convince you that you are anything less than extraordinary. Stand tall in who you are. Walk boldly in your truth, and never, never be afraid to take up space. And when the road gets hard, when the weight of the world feels heavy, when you wonder if you have what it takes, remember, you do. You always have. Keep rising, keep shining, keep becoming. The best of you is still unfolding. I believe in you. I see your greatness, your strength, your fire, and I cannot wait to see all that you will do. Good luck on your journey. Walk with courage, with love, with purpose, and above all, walk knowing that you are enough just as you are. Thank you. My dear friend, there comes a time in every soul's journey when the very thing meant to build us starts to break us. The walls that were supposed to shelter us echo with discomfort. The words spoken in the name of guidance land like stones on tender skin. And so we ask in a quiet voice, what do I do when teach makes me miserable? Not because we are weak, no, but because we are human. And oh, how deep and tender the spirit of a human heart can be. Now listen here, you are not a mistake. You are not small. You are not invisible. You are not made to crumble under the weight of someone else's bitterness or someone else's blindness to your light. The classroom may feel like a cage. The desk may feel like a trap. But child, your mind is still free. Your voice is still yours. And the sky is still wide with your name written across it in letters made of fire and gold. Sometimes people who are hurting pass on their hurt in the shape of instruction. They do not see the harm, they do not feel the sting, but you feel it. And that feeling, that ache, that pull in your chest when you sit in silence or walk away feeling smaller than when you came in, that is not yours to carry. That is borrowed pain. That is someone else's shadow trying to fall across your light. Sometimes the hardest part of growing is realizing that not every voice in authority carries the truth about who you are, especially when that voice belongs to someone called to teach, guide, and shape. But just because someone stands at the front of a room and holds a title doesn't mean their words get to live rent-free in your spirit. When teach makes you miserable, when every word feels like a wound and every look makes you question your worth, you have to remember their opinion does not define your intelligence or your potential. You may sit in silence, unsure of your place, shrinking in the space you once felt safe in. You might start to wonder if you're too slow, too loud, too sensitive, too difficult. But those questions do not belong to you. They are born from someone else's inability to see your light. And child, you are light. Even when you don't feel it, even when no one tells you, even when the room feels cold and the words feel sharp, your light remains. What they say may shake your confidence, but it cannot touch your truth. You are not less because they fail to see more. It is not your job to carry the weight of their misunderstanding. You are not here to mold yourself into a shape that fits someone else's limited vision. You were not built to be small to make someone else comfortable. The mind you've been given is yours to grow, to stretch, to explore. It may not bloom in their hands, but that doesn't mean it won't bloom at all. In fact, sometimes the greatest minds rise from the hardest soil. Sometimes the most powerful voices come from those who were once silenced. And sometimes your real education begins the moment you realize your value doesn't hinge on someone else's approval. Don't let their failure to encourage make you forget how far you've come. Think of every moment you chose to keep showing up, every time you held back tears, took a breath, and kept learning anyway. That takes strength. That takes heart. And heart, child, will carry you farther than any grade ever will. You can honor your desire to grow without letting their bitterness clip your wings. You can take in the lesson and leave the judgment behind. You can take in the lesson and leave the judgment behind. And if you start to forget, because we all forget sometimes, speak life to yourself. Find people who speak life to you, gather their words like armor, write them down, say them out loud. Let them fill the places that were wounded by criticism. Surround yourself with reminders that one person's inability to see your brilliance does not dim it. That light was placed in you for a reason, and no classroom, no comment, no cold stare can take that from you. So when the room feels heavy, when the voice in charge makes you question your worth, step back and say, they do not define me. I know who I am. I know what I carry. I know what I'm becoming. Because the truth is, what's inside you is bigger than any opinion spoken outside you. And the path you're walking, though painful now, is preparing you for a life they may never even imagine. Keep walking. There is a kind of tired that doesn't come from work or effort, but from the slow erosion of your peace. When the person meant to guide you becomes the one who unsettles you, when teach becomes a source of stress instead of support, you start to feel that erosion in your bones. It isn't just about school anymore. It touches how you see yourself, how you sleep, how you carry the weight of the day. And in those moments, you must protect your peace with everything you have, even if that means building emotional distance from the storm around you. Protecting your peace doesn't mean becoming cold or shutting down. It means choosing what energy you allow into your spirit. You might still have to sit in that classroom, still hear the sharp tone, still feel the tension in the air, but you can draw an invisible line between their chaos and your calm. You can remind yourself again and again that you do not belong to their storm. You belong to your stillness. You belong to your growth. You belong to the version of yourself that is blooming quietly behind their noise. Sometimes we believe that we have to absorb everything, that we have no choice but to take in the criticism, the tension, the disregard, but you do have a choice. You get to decide what lives in your head when you leave that room. You get to choose whether you carry their frustration into your evening, your home, your dreams. And the more you practice choosing peace, the stronger that boundary becomes. It becomes a shield, not a wall. Something that lets in light but filters out the weight. You may not be able to stop the words from coming, but you can choose how deeply they land. You can learn to breathe through the moments that used to break you. You can learn to sit tall even when the air feels heavy. And if it becomes too much, you can speak. Quietly, calmly, but clearly. You can speak to someone who will listen, a counselor, a mentor, someone safe. You do not have to suffer silently just because someone else refuses to change. In protecting your peace, you reclaim something sacred. You take back your right to feel safe in your own mind. You remind yourself that no environment, no matter how demanding, gets to define your inner weather. There can be thunder outside, but stillness within. There can be pressure around you, but calm beneath your skin. That calm is where your power lives. This doesn't mean pretending things don't hurt. It means choosing not to be ruled by that hurt. It means holding your power gently but firmly in your hands and whispering to yourself, I will not let this break me. I will not let this bitterness become mine. And as you learn to do this moment by moment, breath by breath, you begin to build a kind of strength that no one can see coming. Quiet strength, still strength, the kind that endures. Because when you protect your peace, you protect your future. You give yourself the space to breathe, to think, to dream beyond what's in front of you. You create room for your spirit to stretch, even when your environment feels tight. And that is how you rise, not through fighting, not through forcing, but through staying grounded in the truth of who you are, even when the world forgets to see it. Keep your peace, keep your path, keep going. There will be days when the weight feels too much to carry alone, when the classroom feels like a battlefield and every glance from teach feels like another wound opening, when doubt creeps in like a slow fog, clouding your sense of direction, your sense of worth. In those moments, you must remember you were never meant to walk this road by yourself. You have the right to reach for hands that lift, hearts that listen, voices that speak light into your darkest corner. You must seek support from those who uplift and believe in your worth, because isolation will only echo the pain louder. Sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that strength means silence, that resilience means never asking for help, but true strength is knowing when to say, I need someone. It's knowing that your burden doesn't become a weakness just because you can no longer bear it alone. There is courage in reaching out, there is power in being seen, and in those moments when you feel small, the right people will remind you of your size, of your brilliance, of the fire you carry even when you can't feel it. You may not find that support in the person you expected. Sometimes the teacher fails to teach anything but how to endure. Sometimes they miss the miracle sitting right in front of them. But don't let their blindness become your own. There are others, friends, mentors, family, even strangers, who will look at you and say, I see you. I believe in you. Don't give up. Their words may come softly, but their impact will echo louder than the criticism that tried to bury you. Find people who remind you that your mind is worth growing, people who don't mock your questions, who don't dim your enthusiasm, who don't make you feel like learning is a test of survival. Find those who reflect back the best in you, even when you've forgotten what that looks like. They might not have titles. They might not sit at the front of the room. But their belief in you will teach you more than 1,000 lessons written in chalk. And don't be afraid to lean into that support. Let it steady you. Let it remind you that your experience, your feelings, your voice, all of it matters. When you hear too many harsh words from one direction, turn your ears toward the ones that speak with gentleness. Let them remind you that you are not broken, not behind, not lesser. You are learning how to rise in difficult soil, and that is a lesson far deeper than any textbook can teach. If you don't have those people yet, keep looking. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit searching. Sometimes the right soul will cross your path at the most unexpected moment, offering a word, a glance, a nod of understanding. And suddenly you feel just a little less alone. And that small shift can change everything. Because when you are surrounded by those who believe in you, something begins to heal. The hurt doesn't vanish overnight, but it stops sinking deeper. Your spine straightens, your hope softens, your voice returns, and soon what once felt impossible starts to feel like just another part of your becoming. You learn to trust yourself again because others have trusted you first. So seek support. Let love find you, and when it does, hold it close. Because that love will be the bridge that carries you over what once tried to bury you. There is a quiet kind of courage that lives in the heart of a student who shows up each day, not for the person standing at the front of the room, but for the lesson itself. When teach becomes a source of discomfort, when their words bruise more than they build, it takes strength to stay rooted in your purpose. It takes focus to separate the message from the messenger, but that is where your power lives, in your ability to keep your eyes on the learning, not the one delivering it. It's easy to get lost in the emotions when someone makes you feel small. When a teacher's voice becomes a reminder of your own self-doubt, you start to carry that tension into everything, every assignment, every answer, every step you take toward your goals. But you were not put here to perform for someone's approval. You are here to grow, to learn, to challenge your own mind, no matter how the lesson is framed or how cold the delivery may be. So instead of letting that teacher's attitude become a wall, let it become a window. Look past them. Look beyond the bitterness or the apathy or the sarcasm. Take the knowledge that serves you and leave the rest behind. Because the truth is, education doesn't begin or end with one person. The world is full of knowledge. Wisdom is in the books, in the questions, in your own curiosity. The teacher may be a barrier, but the learning is still yours to claim. Train yourself to listen beyond the tone. Extract the value from the content, not the character. Not because they've earned your grace, but because you deserve to keep learning. You deserve to keep rising. You're not doing this for them. You're doing this for the person you're becoming, for the version of you that will look back one day and say, even when it was hard, I stayed true to what I came here for. This shift in mindset doesn't mean you pretend things are fine. It means you protect your mind by keeping it aligned with your goals. It means choosing not to let frustration pull your focus away from what really matters. You can honor your own growth by staying centered, even in a space that doesn't make you feel welcome. You can continue to learn, not in spite of the teacher, but in honor of your own hunger for understanding. And maybe, just maybe, in focusing on the learning itself, you'll uncover something even deeper, the resilience to take in knowledge without letting negativity corrupt it, the maturity to see the value in the lesson, even when the lesson giver falls short. That's not just education, that's wisdom, that's character. That's the kind of strength that carries you far beyond any classroom. Let the lesson be your anchor, not the attitude of the person delivering it. Let your focus be your sanctuary, and when the noise grows loud and the environment feels harsh, return to your purpose. Remind yourself again and again, I'm not here for them, I'm here for what I came to learn, because what you gain from these moments is not just facts and formulas, it's grit, clarity, and a deep knowing that no one can take your education away from you. So stay steady, keep learning, and let nothing steal what you came here to grow. Pain is not always loud. Sometimes it comes in quiet waves, a sharp look, a dismissive tone, an ignored hand raised in hope. When teach makes you miserable, when the classroom becomes more about surviving than thriving, that pain starts to settle in your chest. But inside of every wound is a decision waiting to be made. Do you let it sink you? Or do you let it shape you into something stronger? That is where your power lives, in choosing to transform pain into power, in turning the very thing that tried to break you into the reason you rise. You're not weak for feeling hurt. You are not wrong for needing more than what's being given. But what matters most is what you do with that hurt. Do you let it define your story? Or do you let it deepen your understanding of who you truly are? You see, every struggle carries with it the seed of something greater, a deeper strength, a quieter resilience, a fire that doesn't burn out, even when the room goes cold. There is something sacred about the student who continues to learn in an environment that doesn't feed their soul. Something powerful about the choice to stay committed to growth, even when encouragement is absent. You may not be praised, you may not be seen, but you are building something with every step forward. A foundation made not just of knowledge, but of grit, of heart, of the kind of strength that does not shatter under pressure, but sharpens. Let the pain show you who you are. Let it reflect how deeply you care, how much you want to rise. If you didn't care, it wouldn't hurt, but it does, and that pain, uncomfortable as it is, means something beautiful. It means you haven't given up. It means your soul still dreams, still reaches, still refuses to shrink to fit someone else's lack of compassion. And that is a gift. Use that pain right through it, think through it. Let it push you further into your goals, not away from them. Let it fuel your questions, your curiosity, your commitment. You can take the rejection, the misunderstanding, the cold silence, and turn it into a voice so sure of itself it no longer waits for permission. You can walk out of that room one day knowing that even if they didn't believe in you, you believed in yourself enough to keep going. This journey is not just about getting through. It's about becoming the kind of person who can stand tall in the fire and walk out without bitterness, only wisdom. You won't forget how it felt, no, but you'll use it to protect others, to teach differently, to speak with more empathy, to build spaces where no one else has to feel what you felt. And that's how pain becomes power. When it doesn't just change you, it empowers you to create change around you. You walk with a new kind of understanding, a deeper kind of compassion, because you've lived it, and you chose to grow anyway. Let that choice be your quiet victory. Let it be the reason you keep showing up even when it's hard, because each step forward is a step away from what tried to define you and closer to what you're meant to become. Keep walking in that power. Sometimes the room you're in tries to shrink you. It tells you in subtle ways or loud ones that you don't belong. It makes you question your voice, your mind, your very presence. And when teacher's the one making you feel that way, it cuts deep. But no matter how small they try to make you feel, you must remember this truth. Your vision, your dream, your purpose is far bigger than the environment trying to reduce. You are more than the walls around you. You are more than one person's tone. You are bigger than the space that tries to make you doubt your own becoming. There's a difference between where you are and where you're going. And just because you feel stuck in a moment of discomfort doesn't mean that's where you'll stay. That teacher, that classroom, that cold energy is temporary. But your vision, that's yours forever. And if you can keep your eyes on that vision, even when your spirit feels bruised, then no one can truly hold you back. That's where your power lives, not in avoiding difficulty, but in staying true to the future calling you forward. When the days feel long and the lessons feel heavier than they should, pull yourself back to your vision. Remind yourself why you started. Maybe it's a dream of building something no one's ever seen. Maybe it's a passion that wakes you up inside no matter how tired you feel on the outside. Maybe it's a whisper that says, you were made for more. Hold on to that. Let it anchor you. Let it guide your steps even when you're walking through shadows. It's not easy to keep dreaming in a space that doesn't water your hope. It takes courage to look past the present and believe in a future no one else seems to see. But you were never meant to make everyone understand. You were meant to build something real, something honest, something alive. And that begins when you stop giving power to those trying to make you forget your worth. You don't have to change them. You just have to protect what's sacred in you. Your fire, your dream, your sense of purpose. Let your vision become your teacher. Let your future speak louder than your present pain. When someone tries to dim your light, look beyond them. Imagine the world you want to step into. Imagine the person you are becoming. Let that image be so bold, so rooted in your truth, that no moment of discouragement can pull you away from it. And if the noise gets too loud, find your stillness. Retreat into your books, your ideas, your plans. Talk to the people who see you clearly, who speak your name with love, who remind you that you are not defined by anyone's inability to love you right. You are defined by how you continue to grow, even in the face of resistance. You are defined by the way you protect your peace, seek your truth, and rise with dignity. Every challenge you face now is sharpening your ability to endure, to focus, to keep walking when the path is unclear. One day, you'll look back and realize this place that tried to shrink you actually helped you stretch. You kept your vision bigger than their limitations. You stayed grounded in what mattered, and that is why you'll rise, not just out of the classroom, but into a life shaped by resilience, clarity, and the unshakable knowledge of who you truly are. So don't look down, look forward. Your future is still yours. And so if you've ever sat in a classroom feeling unseen, unheard, or misunderstood, know this: you are not alone and you are not broken. You are not defined by one teacher's failure to see you, nor are you limited by the discomfort of your present moment. You are growing in hard soil, but still you grow. You are building strength not in ease, but in resistance. And that strength, that quiet fire within you will carry you far beyond the walls that tried to contain you. Hold on to your vision. Protect your peace. Surround yourself with those who lift your name with love. Learn for yourself, rise for yourself, and never forget. The pain you feel today can shape the power you carry tomorrow. Keep going. You are becoming something no one can take from you. Good luck on your journey forward, and thank you truly for walking this path with such courage. Hello, everyone. What would life be like without art? Now just pause a moment and imagine a sky with no stars, no sunrise, no hues of orange curling into blue. Imagine music, silence forever, the soft hum of a mother's lullaby, swallowed by a stillness that never sings. Imagine a world stripped of color, sound, movement, meaning. A world where your joy has no dance and your grief has no song. That world would ache, it would ache deep like a wound that never quite scabs over. Life without art is like bread without warmth. You could chew it, but you could never taste it. You could swallow it, but it would never satisfy you. Art is what gives our days their echo. It is the way a soul reaches for another without even saying a word. It is the curve of a brushstroke, the rise of a melody, the silence between two stanzas that says more than words ever could. Without art, the world would be all logic and no love, all facts and no feeling. We could count the days, but we would not remember them. Art is the memory keeper. It is the storyteller. It gathers our lives like fallen leaves and binds them into something sacred, something that whispers back to us, I was here and so were you. Without it, our history would be hollow, our future flat. Without art, we lose the language of the soul that speaks when words fall short. There are things we feel in the deepest parts of our being that we cannot always say out loud. There are moments so complex, so raw, so beautifully tangled that even the most carefully chosen words tremble under their weight. That is where art steps in. Art reaches into the spaces we do not know how to name. It picks up the fragments of our unspoken thoughts, our quiet longings, our silent griefs, and gives them form, sound, and color. It becomes the whisper of our spirit when our mouths are still. Art has always been more than decoration. It is declaration. It tells the world, I have felt this too. I have loved this way. I have hurt this deeply. It connects people who may never meet. A painting from a century ago can look you in the eye and tell you that someone who lived and breathed and cried long before you were born felt exactly what you feel now. That is not just beautiful. That is profound. That is human. Without that connection, life becomes quiet in the worst way, not peaceful, empty. Think about music. It does not require a shared language. You can sit next to someone who speaks a different tongue, comes from a different land, and when a song plays that touches your heart, your eyes may both well up with tears. You may not know each other's names, but in that moment, you know each other's soul. That is what art does. It builds bridges in the invisible. Without it, we would be islands, drifting, isolated in our own thoughts, unsure if anyone else truly understands. Even the stories we pass down, the ones our elders told us, the ones painted on ancient walls, the ones folded into melody and rhythm, these are more than entertainment. They are maps. They tell us who we were, who we are, who we can become. Without art, these maps begin to fade. Our sense of belonging blurs. Our purpose loses its echo. There is a kind of healing that only art can bring. When your heart is too heavy to speak, when the world has taken more from you than you can name, art invites you to sit down and pour it all out. On a canvas, in a poem, through a dance. It becomes the place where sorrow and hope can coexist without needing explanation. It is a sacred kind of freedom, one that exists even in the middle of pain. Without art, that healing would go missing. We would be left with wounds, but no way to dress them. And joy? Think of how we celebrate. We sing, we dance, we paint faces, we write words of gratitude. Joy without art would be silent, flat. It is art that turns a moment into a memory, a smile into a melody. It wraps around our happiness and says, this is worth remembering. This matters. Even in resistance, art rises. It has always stood as a mirror to injustice, a question to power, a cry for change, a protest song, a powerful mural, a poem that stirs something fierce in the heart. Art refuses to be silent when silence is dangerous. It gives voice to the unheard and reminds us that truth cannot be buried forever. Without it, the fight becomes lonelier, the truth becomes harder to carry. Children draw before they write. They sing before they speak clearly. This is not coincidence, it is instinct. It is the soul's first language. Without art, that instinct would be denied. Our earliest expressions of self would be hushed before they ever bloomed. And in that silence, something in us would shrink, the part that dreams. Art is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Not because we need galleries and grand stages, but because we need connection, expression, healing, memory, protest, and celebration. We need to feel seen. We need to say things without saying them. We need a place where silence is not the end, but the beginning of something meaningful. And that place is art. So when we ask what life would be like without art, we are not just asking about paintings or poems or music. We are asking what life would be like without a way to be fully human. And the answer is simple. It would be less. Less beautiful, less connected, less real. And that is a silence the world cannot afford. A life without art is a life without reflection, without rhythm, without reverence. It is a life where the mirror has been taken away and all you are left with is motion without meaning. Art is not something we simply observe. It is something that gazes back at us. It reflects who we are, where we have been, and where we are longing to go. Without it, we lose that sacred reflection. We lose the quiet reminders of our humanity and the rhythm that makes life feel alive instead of me. Every day we walk through the world surrounded by beauty shaped by unseen hands. The curve of architecture, the stroke of a mural on a forgotten wall, the notes of a song playing from a distant room. These moments are more than background noise. They are echoes of reverence. They are love letters written by the human spirit to the world it inhabits. Without art, these gestures vanish. Life becomes mechanical, stripped of soul. We wake, we work, we sleep, but we do not feel the heartbeat of life pulsing beneath our skin. Art gives rhythm to what is otherwise routine. A blank wall becomes a canvas. A whisper becomes a melody. An ordinary step turns into dance. That rhythm teaches us to listen, to pause, to notice. Without art, time moves without music. There is no pause before the notes, no hush before the crescendo, no rising swell that makes our hearts lean forward in anticipation. The days become one long, flat line, unbroken and uninspired. Reflection is what roots us. It helps us see not only the world, but ourselves within it. A single photograph can capture 1,000 memories. A poem can awaken a truth buried deep in the chest. A sculpture can speak of strength, struggle, endurance, all without saying a word. Without art, we would have nothing to hold up and ask, is this who I am? Is this what I believe? Is this what matters? That kind of searching, that kind of self-knowing only happens when art holds up the mirror and invites us to look closer. And without reverence, we forget how to be in awe. Art teaches us to marvel at the way colors collide, at how stories unfold, at how silence itself can be shaped into meaning. It reminds us that beauty does not have to be grand to be powerful. A child's drawing, a simple tune, a line scribbled on a scrap of paper. These are holy in their own way. Without art, we begin to overlook them. We forget to bow our heads in wonder, to be still and feel moved by something greater than ourselves. Think of how people gather around a painting, a stage, a street performer, a story told by candlelight. That gathering is not just about entertainment. It is about remembering who we are. It is about collective memory, shared emotion, the sacred hush that falls when everyone is truly present. Without art, that sacredness thins. We stop gathering, we stop remembering, we start to forget that life is more than progress. It is also poetry. Art is what makes life feel less like a series of tasks and more like a journey. It creates space for depth, for stillness, for meaning. Without it, the world may still move, but it does not dance. People may still speak, but they do not sing. We may still breathe, but we do not truly live. It is art that fills the space between what we do and who we are. It is art that brings rhythm to the silence and reverence to the ordinary. In a life without art, we would be surrounded by mirrors that never reflect, clocks that never chime, and skies that never shift. Everything would function, but nothing would flourish. We would forget to look up, to look inward, to look around with eyes wide open. And in that forgetting, something vital would slip quietly away. Art gives our pain a palette and our joy a voice. Without it, emotions stay caged. We may feel deeply, ache sharply, celebrate wildly, but without a channel to release and reflect those emotions, they remain trapped within us. Art opens the door to what we often keep hidden. It takes what is swirling inside, the chaos, the confusion, the beauty, the heartbreak, and offers a way to shape it, to hold it, to understand it. It transforms emotion into expression, and in doing so gives our inner world a place to breathe. Pain by its nature isolates. It pushes us inward. It builds walls and closes doors. But art reaches through the silence that pain builds. When someone pours their sorrow into a painting, a melody, a story, they create a bridge from one heart to another. That act says, I have felt this too. And suddenly you are not alone. The weight does not disappear, but it becomes shared. It becomes known. And there's power in being known. Even the darkest emotions need light. Even grief needs to be sung. Even anger needs to be danced. Without art, we are forced to carry the full weight of our emotions without release. And that can break a person slowly. Art does not erase pain, but it gives it shape. And once something has shape, we can face it, we can sit with it, we can learn from it. A blank canvas becomes a sanctuary. A piano becomes a confession booth. A poem becomes the place where tears are allowed to speak. This is healing that runs deeper than logic. It is the kind that touches the soul. Joy, too, demands expression. When we are filled with happiness, when something stirs delight within us, we do not want to keep it hidden. We want to laugh, to sing, to create, to move. We want to mark the moment, to celebrate it in a way that lasts longer than the feeling itself. Art allows us to do that. It takes a fleeting emotion and makes it eternal. A love song outlives the moment it was born from. A dance continues long after the music ends. A smile captured in a photograph becomes a memory we return to again and again. Without art, joy remains locked in the moment, unable to echo. And in a world already filled with heaviness, we need those echoes. We need reminders of beauty, of hope, of resilience. Art is not only what we create in our joy, but what we return to when joy feels far away. It reminds us that joy once lived here and it can return. There are also emotions too complex to name. Those times when you feel many things all at once. Sorrow laced with gratitude, grief tangled in love, fear mixed with wonder. Language can fail us in those moments, but art never does. It can carry contradiction. It can speak in layers. It can say 1,000 things without uttering a single word. It invites you to feel rather than to define. It gives you permission to be human without explanation. And that is perhaps one of the most powerful gifts of art. It does not ask you to justify how you feel. It does not rush you or label you. It simply opens its arms and says, here, bring your joy, bring your pain, bring all the pieces you do not know what to do with. Let them become something. Let them live outside of you, not just inside. Let them breathe. In a life without art, we would become silent vessels of emotion. We would smile without singing, cry without poetry, love without color. Our inner worlds would be full, but they would never spill over into anything the world could touch. And that would be a quiet kind of suffering. To feel so much and share so little. To burn with feeling and never see it rise into light. In a world without art, we would exist, but we would never truly feel. We would go through the motions of life, eat, work, sleep, repeat, but the emotional texture that makes life vibrant and meaningful would be missing. It is not enough to merely survive. We were not made only to function, we were made to feel, and art is the vessel that carries those feelings into light. It stirs what lies dormant inside us. It awakens parts of us that daily routine cannot reach. Without art, something vital within us would remain untouched, unmoved. You can see it in the stillness of a museum where strangers stop before a painting and lose themselves in a single brushstroke. You can feel it in a theater when an actor delivers a line so raw it moves the entire room into silence. You can hear it in a song that brings tears to your eyes before you even understand the lyrics. These are not simply reactions. We are souls, sensitive and searching, and we need something that speaks to that quiet place inside us. Imagine walking through a day where nothing stirs your spirit. The streets have no music, the walls are bare. Your favorite books were never written, your childhood lullabies never sung, your memories have no photos to anchor them. Imagine feeling something deep and not knowing what to do with it. No way to draw it, no song to match it, no story to help you carry it. That is what life would be like without art. A numbness beneath the surface. A kind of spiritual sleep. Art does not just amplify our feelings, it makes them visible. It gives joy its brightness, it gives sorrow its depth. It gives confusion its color. It lets the internal become external so that we can understand ourselves and others more clearly. Without this process, our emotional world would become cluttered, confused, and closed off. We would feel things we could not explain and carry burdens we could not release. We might smile on the outside and storm on the inside, with no place to let that storm be seen or heard. And that's not only about sadness or struggle, it's also about love, awe, peace, delight. These too are emotions that long for expression. When someone falls in love, they write poems, sing songs, paint, sketch, dance, not because they have to, but because something inside them overflows. That overflow is the soul speaking. That is the heart saying, this moment matters. Art becomes the evidence of our feeling. It marks the difference between a life remembered and a life merely counted. To feel is to be alive. To suppress feeling is to shrink. Without art, we would learn to ignore our inner voice. We would lose the habit of listening to ourselves. And once that happens, we begin to forget what it means to be fully human. Our hearts grow quieter, our eyes less curious, our connections to others more surface than soul. There is something deeply human about creating, not because we are told to, but because we are moved to. Children understand this. They paint not to be perfect, but to be present. They sing not for praise, but because the feeling inside demands a melody. Somewhere along the way, many of us forget that instinct. We trade expression for efficiency, emotion for productivity. But art patiently waits for us to remember. And when we do, when we touch it again, we come alive in ways we had forgotten we could. Without art, our daily lives might still be full of activity, but they would be hollow of wonder. We would have facts without feeling, speed without stillness, sound without meaning. We would get through the day, but we would not live through it. Because it is not enough for the heart to beat, it must also be stirred. Art is how humanity leaves footprints on the sands of time. Without it, we vanish. Long after voices have faded and hands have stilled, what remains is the mark we've left behind, and more often than not, that mark is art. It is the painting tucked in the corner of a forgotten chapel, the ancient song passed down in whispers, the sculpture crumbling yet still standing in the heart of a city that has seen centuries pass. These are not simply objects, they are memory, they are proof, they are the soul of a people saying, we were here, we lived, we felt, we dreamed. Without art, generations disappear without a trace. The essence of who they were, what they loved, feared, questioned, and celebrated dissolves into silence. It is not numbers and dates that tell us who people were. It is the stories they told, the beauty they created, the symbols they carved into stone and song. Art holds history not as cold fact, but as living emotion. Through it, we do not just learn about the past, We feel it, we step into it, and we carry it forward. A civilization without art is a civilization that forgets itself. Art records not only triumph, but also struggle. It speaks truth when truth is dangerous, and beauty when the world is breaking. Even in times of war, even in exile, even in silence, people have always made art. Because deep down we know, if we do not create something to leave behind, our existence risks being erased. Without stories, without songs, without images, the human spirit becomes invisible. The world might move on, but it will not remember. What makes art eternal is not its perfection, but its presence. A poem scribbled in a journal, a quilt stitched with care, a mural painted in protest, these all outlast the moment they were born in. And the reason they outlast it is because they carry the emotional truth of that time. That truth cannot be found in records alone. It must be felt. And art is the carrier of feeling. It wraps the voice of a generation in color, shape, and sound, and it lets that voice be heard again and again, long after the speaker is gone. When we walk through galleries, watch films, read novels, or listen to music from the past, we are not just consuming content. We are being invited into the minds and hearts of those who came before us. We are seeing what they feared, what they hoped for, what they imagined. Art is a time traveler. It moves across borders, across centuries, across cultures, and brings us closer to one another. It teaches us that even when we seem different, we are deeply the same. And for the future, art is a gift. It is a letter we write to people we will never meet, saying, this is who we were, this is what mattered to us, this is what made us cry, made us dance, made us sing. It holds up a mirror, not just to the present, but to the soul of a people over time. Without it, the future would look back and see only data, no emotion, no wonder, no dreams. Art gives the human journey its continuity. It weaves the individual into the collective. A single person's song becomes a nation's anthem. A sketch made in solitude becomes a symbol for millions. This is how humanity leaves its mark, not only in invention, not only in conquest, but in creation. What we feel, what we express, what we pass on, that is what endures. So imagine a world where none of this exists. No cave drawings to study, no ancient hymns to echo through time, no letters penned in poetic sorrow, no dances taught from grandmother to child. That world would be disconnected from its roots, floating, forgotten, a people with no footprints, walking into a future that will never remember they walked at all. Imagination would wither, and wonder would fade into silence if art were taken away from our lives. Art is the breath of creativity, the spark that turns ordinary thoughts into visions, into stories, into whole new worlds. Without it, the space inside us where dreams are born would shrink until there's nothing left but routine and repetition. And we were not made to only repeat. We were made to imagine, to build from nothing, to reach beyond what is and touch what could be. Art stretches our minds beyond the horizon. It teaches us to look up, look around, and most importantly, to look within. When a child picks up a crayon and begins to draw, they are not bound by the rules of reality. The sky can be green, the sun can have a face, their home can fly, and their pet can talk. That's not just play, that's a sacred kind of freedom. It is creativity blooming without limits. It is imagination at work, and art is what nurtures that ability. Without it, even children begin to forget how to dream. Their minds become trained to follow, not to create. They learn answers, but forget how to ask questions. And a world without questions is a world without discovery. Wonder is not just reserved for the extraordinary. It lives in the quiet, in the colors that shift in a painting, in the way a single note can hang in the air, in the mystery of a poem that says exactly what your heart needed to hear. Art brings magic to the everyday. It reminds us that even within the familiar, there is something worth marveling at. Without it, the world becomes flat, predictable, all logic, no longing. There is no invitation to feel surprised, to feel small in the presence of something vast and beautiful. Wonder is not a luxury, it is a vital ingredient for meaning. And art is the keeper of that wonder. Art teaches us that the impossible might not be so impossible after all. It shows us futures not yet built, relationships not yet healed, beauty not yet known. Science and technology often begin with the dreams first imagined through stories, paintings, films. What we can envision, we can sometimes become. And if we stop imagining, we begin to stall. We may still move forward, but we forget why. We become efficient, but not inspired. Driven, but not visionary. Without art to stir the waters of our thoughts, we risk becoming mechanical, functional, but hollow. Imagination is also how we build empathy. Through art, we step into the shoes of someone else. We see through their eyes, feel through their heart, even if just for a moment. A novel lets us live another life. A film carries us into worlds we'll never walk. A painting reveals emotion with color, shape, silence. Without this bridge between self and other, compassion begins to fade. We become trapped in our own experience, disconnected from the depth of others. But art keeps us soft, keeps us open, keeps us curious. And curiosity is the beginning of everything new. It is the foundation of growth, of invention, of change. Art does not just reflect the world, it reimagines it. It asks, what if? What if this pain could be turned into beauty? What if this silence could sing? What if we could live more boldly, love more freely, hope more fiercely? Without art, those questions fall away. We stop wondering, we stop daring, and slowly the soul goes quiet. Art is not just what we create, it is what we allow ourselves to imagine. It lives in possibility, in the pause between thoughts, in the invisible leap from what is to what might be. Without it, imagination would begin to starve. And when imagination starves, the future begins to dim. We stop shaping the world and instead let the world shape us. We begin to accept limits, not because they are true, but because we've forgotten how to dream beyond them. So if art were to disappear, it would not just be beauty that we lose, it would be the spark, the question, the wide-eyed wonder that makes life more than a task. We would still walk, still talk, still live, but the sky would feel lower, the days quieter, the dreams fewer, because without art, the color inside us fades and imagination slowly folds into silence. Life without art is like a heartbeat without sound, still moving but never alive. We may rise each morning, carry out our tasks, speak with others, and move through time, but there would be no rhythm, no melody, no echo to remind us that we are not just living bodies, but feeling souls. A heartbeat is proof of life, yet it's the sound, the pulse, the drum of emotion that makes us feel truly present. That's what art gives us, a soundtrack to our days, a harmony to our hopes, a rhythm to our being. When we think of art, we often picture grand paintings, classical music, majestic performances, but art is far more than what hangs in museums or plays in concert halls. It lives in the way we tell a story, in the way someone decorates their home, in the way two people dance in a kitchen late at night with no one watching. It's in the colors we choose, the words we write, the songs we hum without realizing. Without it, the movement of life continues, but something sacred slips away. Art doesn't just accompany life, it gives it tone, depth, and feeling. It's what makes a goodbye linger longer, what makes a sunrise more than just the start of a day. Through art, we hear the heartbeat of love in a simple melody, the ache of loss in a few brushstrokes, the power of truth in a whispered line of poetry. Without these things, life would be made only of facts and schedules. We would check boxes but never feel the meaning behind them. We would speak but not be moved. We would move but never dance. A soundless heartbeat may still keep the body alive, but it does not let the soul sing. That's the danger of a world without art. Everything becomes functional, but nothing becomes felt. There would be no moments of pause to savor, no sudden tears brought on by song, no laughter from a clever piece of theater, no inner stirring when we look at a photograph that captures something we could never explain with words alone. It is in those unexpected feelings that we are reminded of our depth, and it is art that calls those feelings forward. Imagine never being swept away by a story, never finding yourself lost in the colors of a painting, never hearing a voice in a song that feels like it understands something about you, even you could not explain. That is what a life without art would be, a life that stays on the surface, never diving into the deep water of experience. The heart may still beat, the lungs may still breathe, but the soul forgets how to reach, how to yearn, how to be stirred. And without that stirring, we begin to grow numb. Not in an obvious way, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, the absence of beauty begins to dull our senses. We forget to look for wonder. We forget to ask big questions. We forget how to let silence speak. We move through life untouched by the things that once brought meaning. And when meaning begins to vanish, even the greatest accomplishments feel hollow. Even the busiest days feel empty. Art keeps us awake to life. It wraps itself around the heartbeat and gives it volume. It reminds us that we are not just passing time, we are creating moments. We are building memory. We are feeling deeply and reaching out across time and space to be known, to connect, to belong. Without art, the music inside us dims. The days blend into one another. The world feels quieter, not in peace, but in absence. Because we need more than movement to be alive. We need emotion. We need story. We need truth dressed in beauty. We need the heartbeat to be heard, not just felt. That sound, that rhythm, it is what lifts a life from existence to experience, from silence to song. And that is why art matters. That is why, without it, life loses its echo. So when we ask, what would life be like without art? We're not simply questioning the absence of paintings, music, or poetry. We're speaking of a world without feeling, without memory, without rhythm or reflection, a world where imagination shrinks, where pain stays silent, where joy has no dance and love leaves no trace. Without art, we would still exist, but we would not truly live. Art is the voice of the soul, the bridge between hearts, the echo of generations, and the spark that keeps wonder alive. It holds our truth, our healing, our longing, and our hope. In every color, every chord, every word, it whispers, you are here, you matter, you feel, you belong. So let us never take that for granted. Let us protect, create, and celebrate art in all its forms. Because in doing so, we keep the soul of humanity alive. Good luck in your journey. Keep feeling, keep creating, keep listening. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it means to stand in the storm and not be moved. It means to hold your peace when your heart is breaking and still speak kindness from a place that knows pain well. Maturity is not about age, not about how many years you've walked this earth. It's about how much love you've carried through those years and how much grace you've kept when the world tried to steal it. They should know better. It's easier to separate people into categories, to label someone as wrong or foolish or lost. But maturity, true, deep, soul-tested maturity, asks more of you. It asks you to pause before you pass a verdict. It asks you to lean in when you feel like walking away. It asks you to listen, not just to words, but to what lies beneath them. When you are mature, you understand that people are not their worst moments, that behind every action is a story. Behind every anger, there might be a wound. Behind every cold word, a memory that stings. You don't excuse the behavior, but you no longer feel the need to attack it. You don't make it personal. You stop needing to be right all the time, because now being whole matters more. And the more you grow, the more you realize life will give you plenty of chances to judge others. But maturity teaches you to use those chances to show compassion instead. It teaches you to ask better questions. What hurt them? What shaped them? What fear are they carrying? You learn to look at someone's brokenness and not flinch. You learn to see the child in the adult, the ache in the anger, the sorrow in the silence. It's easy to sit back and cast opinions. It takes strength to look someone in the eye and still offer grace when they've made a mess of things. It takes patience to say, I don't understand your choices, but I'm not here to condemn you. That kind of patience isn't weak. That kind of love isn't blind. It's brave. It's conscious. It's what maturity looks like when it steps into the room without needing applause. Maturity is knowing that everyone is fighting something you can't see. And because of that, you stop assuming. You stop expecting perfection from people who are still learning just like you. You offer room to grow, to stumble, to rise. You realize that understanding doesn't mean agreement, and kindness doesn't mean approval. It simply means you've decided not to add more hurt to the world. And yes, judgment feels powerful in the moment, but understanding is what brings healing. It's what softens hearts, repairs bridges, rebuilds what pride once broke. Understanding lets you hold boundaries without building walls. It lets you walk away from drama without dragging bitterness behind you. It gives you the ability to say, I see the whole picture and I still choose peace. This choice to understand instead of judge doesn't happen once. It happens over and over again. When you're tired, when you're hurt, when someone disappoints you, when life throws you tests dressed as people, and every time you will have to decide, will I respond from my wounds or will I respond from my wisdom? That is the real work of becoming. Not just growing older, but growing deeper. Deeper in patience, deeper in empathy, deeper in love that holds its shape under pressure. Because maturity isn't loud, it's steady. It doesn't need to win arguments, it's too busy building bridges. It doesn't throw people away, it creates space for them to rise. So what does it mean to be mature? It means knowing that people will not always act right, speak right, or love right, and still choosing not to let that change the goodness in you. It's often said that silence is golden, but it takes maturity to understand just how powerful that silence can truly be. A mature soul knows that silence can speak louder than shouting, not because there's nothing to say, but because not everything needs to be said. Sometimes silence is not absence, it is presence. It is not weakness, it is wisdom wrapped in quiet. When you are younger, when you're still learning how to carry your feelings, silence can feel like surrender. You think, if I don't speak, I'll be misunderstood. If I don't yell, they won't hear me. So you raise your voice, sharpen your tone, and try to make your pain louder than the room. But with time, with growth, with the bruises that life brings and the lessons that follow, you learn that silence is not about giving up. It's about rising above. It's about no longer needing noise to prove your point. Maturity teaches you that not every insult needs a comeback. Not every disagreement needs a debate. You start to choose peace over proving and inner stillness over outer validation. That's not because you've become passive, it's because you've become selective with your energy. You know what deserves your voice, and more importantly, you know what doesn't. There is something sacred about restraint, something powerful about holding your tongue, not out of fear, but out of intention. Because you've seen what words can do when they're thrown like stones. You've seen how a conversation can turn into a battlefield, how love can be buried under sharp syllables. So now you pause, you breathe, you let the moment pass before you speak into it. And it's not that you don't feel, oh, you feel everything. You feel the sting of disrespect, the tension in the silence, the pull of your pride wanting to lash out, but now you know how to carry those feelings without spilling them on everyone around you. That is maturity. Feeling deeply, but responding wisely. Sometimes the loudest message is in what you choose not to say. You walk away from gossip when your younger self would have leaned in. You stay quiet during chaos because you know peace won't come from adding more noise. You let others have the last word, not because they're right, but because you're free. That's the difference. Maturity is freedom. And silence, when it's rooted in wisdom, is its language. Bayo. And that's where the shift happens. When you begin to understand that some things are not worth the ache, that staying just to save face only delays the healing. There's a difference between giving up and knowing when something has already run its course. Maturity teaches you that not every fight deserves your fists. Some things deserve your forgiveness, your silence, your exit. You learn that you can leave the table without flipping it over. You can walk away without slamming doors, without burning bridges, without turning your back in bitterness. You can leave with grace. You can leave with your head high and your heart intact. Not because it didn't hurt, but because you've chosen healing over hostility. There's a quiet dignity in letting go, in saying, this is not for me anymore. This does not bring peace to my spirit. You no longer stay where you are merely tolerated. You no longer explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer pour into places that leave you empty. And the beautiful thing is, no one has to understand your choice but you. Pride is loud. It wants the last word. It wants the final blow. It wants the spotlight, the applause, the appearance of strength. But peace is steady. Peace doesn't need to be seen. It just needs to be felt. It hums beneath your ribs, telling you that this quiet exit, this soft release is strength too, maybe even the deepest kind. You stop asking, how will they see me if I leave? And you start asking, how do I see myself if I stay? That's the question that shifts everything. Because maturity is about alignment. It's about honoring the version of yourself you're becoming, not defending the version someone else expects you to be. You understand now that walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your own soul to stop pouring into places where love is not returned, where energy is drained, where your worth is questioned. And it takes strength, real, rooted, tested strength to walk away when your pride tells you to stay and fight. There will be times when people don't understand your silence, times when your peace is mistaken for weakness. Let them misunderstand. Maturity isn't about being understood by everyone. It's about being at peace with yourself, regardless of who claps or criticizes. It's about knowing that you didn't leave out of spite, you left out of love. Love for your growth, love for your mental clarity, love for the future you're protecting. So now you walk away not with anger, not with resentment, but with release. You no longer carry the weight of needing to be right. You no longer wear the burden of proving your worth to someone who couldn't see it clearly. You don't walk away empty, you walk away free. That is what maturity looks like when it shows up fully grown. It walks in calm, it lets go with kindness, it releases what no longer belongs without needing to announce it. And in that quiet walk, there is a loud kind of strength. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing you can do. There's a deep and tender kind of strength in learning to feel everything. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every wave of anger or sadness, and still not let those emotions steer the wheel. Maturity doesn't mean you have less emotion. It means your emotion no longer controls your direction. When you're still growing, still learning the weight of your feelings, emotions can feel like the truth. They rush in and take over, and you find yourself speaking from frustration, choosing from fear, walking into rooms full of anger you never meant to carry. You confuse feeling something deeply with needing to act on it immediately. But then you grow. You get your heart broken a few times. You see how words spoken in anger can last longer than the moment that caused them. You see how decisions made in pain can create problems that peace could have prevented. So you start to pause. You start to breathe. You begin to let emotions pass through you instead of take hold of you. That's where the shift begins. Maturity steps in when you learn that emotions are visitors, not masters. They come to tell you something, not to take control. They alert you to what needs attention. They ask for care, for understanding, for space. But they don't always tell the full truth, and they shouldn't get to drive. You feel the anger, but you no longer let it speak on your behalf. You feel the sadness, but you no longer let it sink you. You feel the fear, but you don't let it choose your path. That is the quiet power of emotional maturity. You stop apologizing for feeling deeply. You simply learn how to hold it better. You learn how to cry without crumbling, how to love without losing yourself, how to sit in discomfort without making it someone else's burden. And that doesn't make you hard, it makes you wise. You begin to understand that self-control is not about denying what you feel. It's about honoring it without letting it own you. When you mature, your emotional compass changes. You no longer chase chaos just to feel something. You no longer explode just to feel heard. You no longer beg others to manage your feelings for you. Instead, you do the inner work. You sit with your own mess. You learn how to self-soothe, how to wait, how to ask yourself, is this feeling permanent? Is this truth or just a passing storm? And more often than not, the storm does pass, and you're grateful you didn't act in its rage, because you've come to see how sacred peace really is, how protecting your energy is not selfish, it's necessary. You've learned the difference between expressing emotion and being ruled by it. You've learned that maturity is not found in avoiding feeling, it's found in managing it well. You still get hurt. You still have days where you want to scream, break something, or disappear. But now, instead of reacting, you reflect. You don't deny your fire. You just learn how to keep it from burning everything down. You know when to speak and when to stay still. You know when your heart is asking for rest and you give it. That kind of emotional strength doesn't come easily. It comes from walking through the fire and deciding not to become it. The most beautiful thing is, you don't need others to understand your process. You don't need applause for your restraint, because you feel the power within. You know how far you've come. You know what it took to sit with emotion instead of throw it at others. You've learned how to carry heavy feelings with grace. And that is something only maturity can teach. To feel deeply but walk wisely, to honor your heart without letting it lead you off course, to be passionate but not reactive. That is not weakness, that is strength dressed in quiet discipline. And that is the kind of strength that holds steady when everything else shakes. There's something so profoundly powerful about reaching the place where you no longer chase people to be in your life, where you no longer shrink yourself, bend your values, or twist your spirit just to be seen, chosen, or kept. Maturity teaches you to stop begging for presents and start honoring your own. You used to think that love meant holding on tightly, even when the grip bruised you. You thought loyalty meant staying, even when it hurt. You believed that if you could just do a little more, be a little quieter, try a little harder, someone might finally see your worth. So you over-explained, overgave, overstayed. You were loyal to the point of self-abandonment, but now you see that love isn't meant to be chased. It's meant to flow. And your presence is not a prize to be earned, it's a gift to be valued. There's no pride in begging someone to choose you, There's no peace in fighting for space in a heart that doesn't make room for you. Maturity whispers softly. If they wanted to, they would. Not from bitterness, not from ego, but from truth. From the kind of truth that comes after you've wiped your tears in silence and found yourself again. You begin to understand that people come and go, and their coming or going doesn't determine your value. That some exits are divine protection in disguise. That silence from someone you once held close is sometimes the beginning of your return to yourself. It hurts, yes. It aches in places you didn't know could feel, but even through that pain, you stop chasing, not because you're heartless, but because you're whole. You're no longer available for one-sided love, no longer holding doors open for people who walked away without a glance, no longer building homes in hearts that only offered you hallways. Because now, you know that you are not too much. You are not too emotional, too complicated, too needy. You are simply too aware of your worth to beg for what should be freely given. You learn that real connection doesn't require convincing. Real love doesn't need pressure to prove itself. And real people, they stay. They choose you with intention. They show up when it matters. They don't make you question your place in their life. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you stop trying to fit into places that don't feel like home. You stop auditioning for roles in other people's stories and start writing your own. You no longer chase energy that confuses you. You no longer feed relationships that starve you. Instead, you sit with yourself. You learn to be full in your own company. You become your own safe place. And from that fullness, you begin to attract different things. People who see you without needing you to dim. People who hear your silence and still care. People who match your effort, who give as freely as they receive. Not perfect people, but present ones. Not flawless connections, but honest ones. Maturity is realizing that absence can be an answer. That you don't need closure from someone who had every chance to give you clarity and chose not to. You stop knocking on closed doors. You stop reopening wounds just to remember what it felt like to bleed. You let people go, not in anger, not in spite, but in love. Love for them and love for yourself. And most importantly, you stop waiting. Waiting for someone to return. Waiting for an apology. Waiting for someone to finally see your light. You are the light. And you decide who gets to walk in it. That's not loneliness, that's alignment. That's you choosing yourself the way you once begged others to. That's you standing in your fullness, not because someone else finally saw it, but because you did. And that is the truest sign of growth. CXZSO, as you carry these truths with you, may you walk with a steadier heart and a quieter mind. May you respond with grace instead of reacting in haste. May you choose peace over pride, understanding over ego, and presence over pressure. Let your emotions be your teachers, not your rulers. Let your silence speak louder than your need to prove. And above all, let your maturity be the home where your strength, your softness, and your spirit live in harmony. You are not here to chase love, argue for respect, or shrink for comfort. You are here to rise, to grow, to honor yourself even when no one else does. That is what it means to be mature. Not perfect, not unbothered, but present, aware, and deeply rooted in your worth. Thank you for listening, thank you for growing, and thank you for choosing the higher road, even when it's the hardest one to walk. Keep going. Keep glowing, and may every step forward be full of truth, light, and quiet power. Good luck on your journey. You've got this.